And the red light's on, yep.
It's good.
Want to push that in there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
recording
'cause
at
the
the bottom.
red
The
light's on
button
down
is
below.
on.
We're good.
There is a red light at the
I guess you're all set.
Yep.
So I'd like to call to order the meeting for the Historic District and Historical Commission for Monday, January 27, 2020. It is 6 p.m. We are having this meeting in the small hearing room at 732 Main Street in Town Hall. I'd like to start by stating that as required by law, the town may and is audio and video recording this meeting. Any person intending to either audio or video record the open session is required to inform the chair at this time. Hearing none, I will start with a quick roll call.
Brendan Lowney.
Jean Steiner.
Gail Carroll.
Julie Aldridge?
All right, so we are going to reopen the public hearing for HH 2020-05. It's a certificate of appropriateness which has been received for 721 Main Street, map 41, parcel D5-1 in the C-V and the Harwich Center Historic Districts. The application proposes the installation of new signage. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, Section 6, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 1, Alan Rogers as owner, Samuel Patel as applicant. So, as we all may recall, it's a certificate of appropriateness for the signage at the Royal Smoke Shop at 721 Main Street, across the street here from Town Hall. I would point out to everybody that a mock-up of the sign is at the end of the table with the colors. I admit freely that I had concerns about the color red based on the
Drawing.
name of it being called fluorescent red. So I will open it up to members of the board if you have any questions or comments relative to the sign. Anyone?
I do. Did you give any consideration to using a wooden sign and doing something like what the computer business had before with the, I think they're like carved out letters?
My understanding, the type of material that's being used is basically wood, and that it will be sort of inlaid or engraved a little. And what I had last week sort of showed that, I thought. No?
No, it just shows the,
You mentioned that in last week's meeting.
You told me it was going to be inlaid, more or less.
Yeah, but it's gonna be like just a bigger version of the sample, so.
Oh, so it's not
yeah.
going to be
so
inlaid.
it's not
No,
gonna be
it's not
carved,
gonna be
it's not gonna be a
inlaid.
carved sign.
No. Because we were initially gonna try to do that, but the cost is too high for it. So basically, the reason why we are doing this is, as per you guys know, the menthol ban and everything going in effect in June. So we're trying to like just have this business until June, when the laws goes in effect, and it's not gonna be beneficial to even like run this business. So we are just aiming at just running it until June. Getting it carved out is gonna add significant amount. And this is the old sign that we have from our other store, the old signage we had, so we're gonna just cut it out and use that sign and put this in top and use it rather than spending any extra money. So that's the whole reason why it's not carved out or anything fancy, like how you guys have approved for 7-Eleven, the carved out, and it's like, you know, gold inlaid and everything, so.
I just think that since it's in the historic district and it's fairly visible because it's right up in front, it would be nice to have it.
But just so I'm clear, it's just a temporary sign until June?
Well, it's a sign until June, and then June, the business dissolves.
Yeah, so we're just gonna take it down.
Well,
So,
see, because the business is going to be pretty much prohibited, or the ban is going to, for smoke shops is going to be.
Oh.
So we thought we would have a bigger window or a business forever, but it looks as if when June comes and they have these state bans and federal bans that you've all seen, I'm sure, on the TV and the news and everything, they're really sort of putting very serious clamps on the business, and it's not going to be profitable, and you're going to do away with the smoke shop.
yeah.
So we'll be selling milk and groceries. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. But
Okay.
so we don't want to invest a great deal of money in this sign. We're going to try to make it presentable. It's going to look better than what's there now, and
So that's appreciated, because I think the banner sign, of course,
it looks like a carnival.
Exactly.
isn't appropriate in the historic district.
Maybe not.
My own opinion. Thoughts on the colors for folks, thoughts on the style? Keeping in mind now that we're realizing it's
Temporary.
temporary.
Yeah.
So I guess my only concern with the temporary is that when the business dissolves, that the sign go with the business.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Won't be no
So,
need for it. And if in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they wanted black lettering, we could do it with black vinyl, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you feel strongly that that's a bad color, we're open to a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that red is a lot toned down than what we thought it was at the
Yes.
last
Yeah, we thought it
meetings.
would be flamboyant, you know.
Yeah.
When we
Well,
saw fluorescent red last.
right, and
I think it
that was my kind of gut reaction to it as well. If fluorescent just sounds
Yeah, we
Extra bright.
ordered it from Amazon and they arrived fluorescent red, so I just used
sure,
that,
no, I
that,
understand.
you know,
I
in the
understand.
application.
And it's all relative anyway, right, to, from one company to the next. So it looks like it's, the proposal is the red with a glossy black. Is everyone consensus? People okay with that? With, is it the board's pleasure that if the business goes away, that the sign comes down, or
Mhm.
do we?
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Yes,
Let's
I
do
think
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Is that,
Regulated.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we're definitely gonna take it
you're
down.
gonna then take it down and probably reuse it someplace else, right? One of your other
Take-
businesses,
yeah,
right?
peel that off and yeah, use it somewhere else.
Why not, right?
And the
We're
post,
all about
the post
recycling.
that you're gonna paint white or just keep it?
Just keep it.
Just keep it.
We can paint it. We can paint it white.
It looks, from this picture, it looks like it needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can paint it. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so if there are
Weather
any,
permitting.
any other questions? Any other comments?
I just think, I'd like to see that it's stipulated that it is a temporary sign,
Okay,
because I think that as we build out businesses in the center of town, we want the nicer signs like you have.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
other-
no, definitely. I completely understand.
so is it more your thought that if, that we revisit it, say in July, if you're still continuing the business?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
Or
Yep, that's
that,
it.
that we come back and then have further discussions on, is that more along what you're thinking of?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
If in fact the sign is still up in July, we'd be glad to come back.
Great. And then if, if for some reason the business isn't going to go away, like, you
Yeah.
anticipate at this point, then perhaps we can have,
The sign will be down.
and we can have discussions
Yeah, and
about
we
whether,
can come
whether
back
it's
with a
beneficial
better,
for you to do
yeah,
a better
better
sign.
signage and everything. Yes,
Okay.
completely.
So I think that works for me, from my perspective.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion's been made by Julie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jean seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous, 5-0.
Let's
So-
see if we understand the motion. I thought you were going to read it. Okay.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the sign as detailed in the application, which can remain in place until,
June 30th?
until July 30th,
June 30th.
June 30th.
Yeah, June is fine.
Yep.
Until June 30th, 2020. If the sign, if the sign is going to remain in place past that time frame, then we would ask the applicant to come back before us with further details and a new sign mock-up.
Sure.
Good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, somebody willing to make that motion?
Just a question, can we stipulate that the posts be painted?
And we can add a stipulation that the posts get painted white to go along with the sign?
Sure.
Okay. So will somebody make that motion? Gail, you can
Sure.
just say so moved.
Try and
So
repeat
moved.
that.
All right, motion's been made by
Second.
Gail, seconded by Brendan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries, it's unanimous. Thank you very much for working with us.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
guys.
And I apologize again for the gaffe on our part.
Thanks for
okay.
putting us back, so we're, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Sample, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yep,
guys.
see ya.
Thank you.
So folks, we do have some other items on the agenda, but I had not planned on addressing anything else on our short night unless there is something that one of you would like to discuss.
No.
Hearing none,
You made it sound like you were gonna say something.
No, I mean, I always have something to say, that's the problem I have, but
I'd
I'm good,
entertain
I'm
a
good right
motion.
now.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made by Brendan, seconded by Gail. All those in favor?
Aye.
None in opposition, motion carries. Good night, and could you press the stop button for me, please? Further